Hello everyone, and welcome again to the final tutorial we're going to be having in Excel. Now, as we have all been carefully going through the previous tutorials, we have covered a lot of things, and this final tutorial is like an overview of all what we have been learning, where we are going to be looking at a real-life data set to work with and also create a dashboard in Excel. So we all have the data set here, just like I have the link in the description below where you can download the data set from. And we're going to be doing from cleaning the data set to actually setting up the data set for use in these our full project we are going to be working with. So I have this data set for bike buyers, those that bought bike, or the statistics of those that showed interest in getting bike for a particular store. And let me just go ahead and open that up, open everything up so we can have full view of everything. And that, so we can see that for this data set, there are a lot of things we'll need to first check and clean. We have marital status, we have gender, we have income, children, number of children, that is the educational qualification of the occupation, homeowners, if they own a home or not, the number of cars they have, the commute distance they have from work to their house, the region they fall in, the age grade they fall in, and also if they purchase the bike or not. So let us say this was web script from a website to see as many of them that clicked to check the website for the bike purchase to see if or not they actually bought the bike. So we can actually run some of our testing to see if this data set is actually complete. We can run go to our data and run to check, like for removing duplicate, right? So the first thing we need to do, so we can check, select all columns, select everything to see if there are duplicates, and say, oops, there are 26 duplicates found. Wow. So we can clean that up, and we have that duplicate already removed. Also, we can go ahead and add filter to it to see if there are other values like this marital status. We have M and S only. We can click on the gender. We see we have just F and S, so those look good. The income, well, they are unique numbers. Number of children, we have 0 to 5 already. Education, they look good. Bachelor's degree, all of that. They don't look like they are anything that is not correct there. So occupation also looks good. No duplicate value or misspelled duplicate. Also car owners, we have just yes and no. Cars, number of cars, we have just the count correct. Commute distance, okay, we have 0 to 1, we have 10 plus miles, we have 1 to 2, and all of that. Okay, this 10 plus miles is not sitting well because it's supposed to be below, showing that it's actually greater than, and all of that. We'll come to that in just a bit. So the region is also okay. The age, we have a lot of ages here, and if you are going to be writing or creating our chart with it, it might just be giving us a bit of problem. So we'll also come back to it and see how we can edit that. For the bike purchase, we have just yes or no, which shows that okay, all is set for that one. So let's just go and see how we can work our way around some of the stuff. The ID is unique to each buyer, so we don't actually have to do anything with the ID. So like I've said, before we start working with a data set, it is always very important. So I'm just going to undo what I've done to this data set. Just going to undo it and bring it back to the original set. So before we work with any data set, this is very, very important we duplicate it and have a copy, so that when we're working with it, you don't actually have to mess it up. So I'm going to be creating some extra worksheet, rename it to working sheets. I'm also going to be creating another one where our pivot table is going to be, rename it to our pivot table. I'm also going to be creating another one where I'm going to build our dashboard. Okay, I think that's all. So I'm going to go ahead and Control A, copy it, Control C, copy all the work, come to working sheet, come to the working sheet and paste it. So we have it like this, and I can expand, we can expand them and see that we all have everything all set. Okay, so now we can work with this. So we can go ahead and start the first thing, which is removing duplicates, and clicking in and seeing that, okay, we have 26 duplicates removed. We can also go ahead and filter, so we can check to see. Now we can see that this marital status doesn't sit well. We have M and S, and M and S to a layman would not actually make any sense, because it could mean so many things. So we would love to make it in such a way that it can be done. So I'm going to select this column. I'm going to select this column, click on Control H, which is actually our find and replace. And what are we going to be finding? We're going to be finding anywhere that starts with M in this column, M, and we're going to be replacing it with. Now I clicked on the options to expand this, so that we are going to be searching by column, so it sticks with this particular column. Match case, where we don't just leave that checked. So we're going to be replacing it anywhere we see M, we're going to be replacing it with married. So let's go ahead and do that. Replace all. Okay, and we'll still come back the same thing. We are replacing S with single. Okay, so we're replacing all. Mind you, watch out for the header here. Watch out for the header here. This has changed, so I'm just going to go ahead and erase the extra things that are added to it, since it's replaced every M. So it's also replaced that. Now we can come to the gender and do the same thing. Control H, click on wherever we have M, change M to male, replace all, and also we'll come to F, change F to female. All right, so I think that sits good already with us. Now, yeah, if you've noticed in the previous tutorial, I talked about income, that it's always best to work with income as a currency type or as a number. So let me just go home and just make sure this is a currency. So we keep it as a currency, which shows that it's the money, and we can come and work with the formats later on. All right, so we have the set, we have the occupation set. Now I'll be talking two more things. These miles, we have a part from this commute distance that shows 10 plus miles. That doesn't sit well, because the 10 plus miles is standing in between. It's supposed to come in kind of like ascending order or descending order. So let me just rename it to something that would come below. So if I come and click on Control H, I can come and see where I have this, copy this, finding everywhere we have 10 plus miles, and let's say something like miles greater than 10. You can actually choose anything, write anything you like, or something to just differentiate, as long as it comes below. So if I click on OK, close, and click on it, you'll see that, okay, it's now below. So it shows that it is in ascending order, and we are good to go. Now for this age, we're looking at it to discover that, okay, this age has lots of ranges, and we have to actually categorize these ages so that we can know how to work with it better. So I'm going to create another column. So I'm just going to insert, and it's going to create another column, and I'm going to name this column age. Let's say something like an age bracket. So we want to have like an age bracket in this work. So let me actually zoom this out so we can see what we are doing. So I want to have like an age bracket where we can just kind of like bracket the age, maybe just categorize them into 3 age. where we have something like kids, adult, and aged, or maybe kid, young adult, and old people, and all of that. And so let's just go ahead and give it an if statement. Say if this value is actually less than, let's say, 31, right? Let's say if the age is less than 31, let's say is an is a is young, right? Okay, so if we do that, we say is young. Okay, and we can close that. And if we run, okay, we didn't actually write a false statement. And if it's not that, we'll say is invalid. Let's just put it for that, so that we don't get false, 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 or true. So that, okay, it's invalid. So if you run this down, we'll see that for most of them we have invalid, and we have some that are young and also. Okay, so now we can have what we call like a nested if. A nested if is having multiple ifs within a single if. I know I taught you about the ifs statement that combines and write multiples. We can also use the nested if you want, and we can use the ifs. But let me just show you what the nested ifs look like. So the nested ifs are looks like having another if that says, if, still picking the same thing, if L2 is greater or equal to 31, since we add less than, greater or equals to 31, we should say the person is an adult. I don't know if I got that spelling right. Is an adult, and else value if false, I still say invalid. Okay, I have the bracket, and I come and close the parentheses here. Okay, it's actually telling me I have an error. Okay, where is that? Okay, all right. So where I have this invalid, instead of it being an invalid, so it's going to be the value if false is going to be the value of the new if statement, of the former if statement I wrote, right? So instead of it saying false, it will actually go ahead and fulfill this condition. So we have it like this, and we can see that if we run this down, we can see that we now have adult, 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 young, 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 adult, 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 adult. But now we can still want to categorize them and still break them down a bit. That, okay, even in the adult section, we have some people that are actually aged, right, and called old. So we can go ahead again and have another if statement that says, to help us categorize it further again, if you say if L2 is, let's say there's a particular age grade that we want, maybe adult starts from 55. So let's say if it is greater than 54, we should just call it outright old. Then we can come again and click on it, and you have it. So you can see that some are actually old, some are adult, and some are. So if you come to the filter and check the filter, we see they're now adult, old, and young. So we have been able to filter that and correct that. So I think with all this being said and done, we can go ahead to work with our data and start creating our pivot table. All right, so what the pivot table, why are we creating the pivot table here? Like we did in our pivot table, which was our first tutorial in Excel, a pivot table helps to streamline the data into little bits that gives us an overview of all what we are working with. So I can go ahead to my pivot table now and click on insert pivot table, and I go back to the working sheet, click the first column, select Ctrl A to select all, and since it's here, I click on OK, and I actually have my first pivot table. So now what will I be doing in my first pivot table? What do we want to check for? What do we want to know, right? So I think the first thing we can want to say, we can do different things with this, right? We can do whatever you want to do with this. You can choose to say, okay, you want to check for the education range of the people buying. You want to check the number of children they have. You want to check their age bracket, their commute distance, their occupation, to know that, okay, those that bought bikes, what occupations do they fall in? There are so many things you can choose to do with this pivot table. Okay. All right. So the first thing we are going to be doing is want to check to see, okay, what is the average income of someone who purchased the bike, and we also want to see what's the gender, if a male and female. Since we have basically male and female here, most of the things we'll be doing are going to be sectionized by the gender, male and female. So we can come and say, okay, let's bring the gender into the roles. Let's see the females and the male, and let's come and check the income. In that value, we have the sum of incomes, and we also can say, okay, did they purchase a bike or not, in the column. If they did, yes or no. If they did, I think something is wrong with this our data. Let me come to the price here. Okay. I can actually come here. Okay, put comma here and clean out this decimal. Okay, I think this is better now, right? So we're actually checking to see, okay, so how many of them are females, how many of them are male, and this is the grand total. We can actually come and say we want to check for, this is the sum of their incomes. Let me pull out this thing so that you can see what is here. And this is the sum of their income, but we don't want the sum, we want the average. So you click on this, come to value field settings, click on average and click on OK. So it's giving us the average of the average salary. So for a female that does not purchase a bike, the average salary is 53,444. While for those that will purchase, their average salary are 55. So you can see that they have slight different average in their price, in their salary income. That's why they are purchasing or not purchasing a bike. And you can choose to draw out a chart from it, which we are going to be using for our pivot table later. So we're going to click on insert and come to recommended charts. This chart is very cool and gives us a very cool result. So let's just go with the clustered column for this, and we click on OK, and we have our charts here for it, for male, female, showing us the day they purchased, the day, the average column. So when we have a chart like this, like we did in our previous example on charts, we can choose to have axis title, which shows us what we have on this side and what we have on this side. So for this side, I can click select all and say this is for income, just to label it. And for this side, we can select all, Ctrl A, and click and write gender, so to show that this is the gender. Also, it's very important we add chart title whatever we are doing. So we can say average, we can say customer who purchased bike, customer who purchased bike. So we can have that as a customer who purchased bike, and that is that for that. I don't think there's any more thing we can do to that again. So we'll just leave that then, and just take a moment to look at it and see what we have done here. And we can also come again and think, okay, what's the next thing we can do? We can add another pivot table again to talk about, since we are creating a dashboard. And a dashboard on a dashboard, we have to look at what are the different things that they want to see at a glance. Okay, so let's make this, since we're dealing with the average income, let's say average income of customer who purchased bike, or uh okay, of let's say of bike purchasers. I don't know if that sounds correct. Purchasers, or average income, yeah, purchasers, since we're dealing with people. All right, so we can leave that like that. So we can think, okay, what are the other extra things we can even keep adding to see? We can choose to see, okay, what is the distance, right? What's the distance between where they are living and the female, male and female, the distance between the gender and all of that. So we can come again to basically down here. We're going to insert another pivot table. Come back to the worksheet. Control A. Control A. Okay, we don't need to copy. Just Control A. And we have that. I'll click on OK. Okay, and we have our pivot table again. So we have to check again to see, okay, we want to see the commuting distance. Say, okay, those that bought bike and those that didn't buy bike, are they living close or are they living far? What's the distance they are working with from their working place or from their commuting distance? Like, how many distance do they travel? Right? Okay, are there people that travel long, that's why they need bike, or they travel short, that's why they need bike, and all of that? So we are going to be doing that by finding the rows. We are going to be looking at their commuting distance for the rows. We'll keep the commuting distance here. So we are saying it's 0 miles, 1.2 miles, 2.5 miles, 5 10 miles, and like we did the other time, to change this 10 miles greater, we have it down. So we are going to also check if they purchased bike, because that's what we want to know, if their distance make them purchase bike. So we have to see that, okay, this is the purchase of bike, right? And since we want to know if they also purchased bike or not, we have to pull the purchased bike into this column to see if they actually did yes or no, they collected or purchased bike. Then we can come and also have this like this. We are going to insert our chart. All right, so we can choose to change it to a line chart, and this is just to give a different view and not make them look the same. So I'm going to drop it. I'm going to drag it here. I'm going to drag it here. Let me drag this also here so that they look on the same column and all of that. And we have it this way. This is also easy. So like we did to our previous one, we are going to have axis title. So for this title, we are going to be having we'll call it those are those that bought. So we can say what can we call it? What can we call it? That's the number of yes or no purchase. Purchase. And we come to this one and click on it, select it all, and that is the miles or commute distance in miles. All right, so we also, I told you, it's always very important to add a title to your chart. So we have the chart title, which is commute distance for buyers. right? So we have these two like this, and we'll still let's just do one more dashboard. Let's do one more pivot table again to see, and we'll come again and insert our pivot table again. Come and select the range you want to do. Okay, you have that, and we are going to, so for this one we can say, okay, we can get, for this one we can say, okay, let us see if what's the age, right? We've seen the incomes for those that bought. We've seen the distance from the house. We can also go ahead and say, okay, what was the age, what's the age grade, or what's the age range for those that bought bikes? Let's say, are they elderly people, are they young people, are they adults? Are they old? So we also want to represent that in that. So we'll be using the age bracket here, not the actual age, because we're using the actual age is going to have so many disparity. So using the age bracket, we're having adults, old, and young on our list. And using that, using that, we can say, okay, did they actually purchase bike, since we want to know if they purchased bike. So say, how many bikes did they purchase in total? But we want to know if they actually purchased, yes or no. So we are bringing it into the column to say yes or no. Then we'll add normal. We add our chart. Uh, let's see which chart can we can add. Okay, so we have the chart for that. Just like, I think this is much better. It shows a more uh spatial arrangement. Okay, so we can also add one more filter to see the real age, just to compare and see what it looks like. So if I come here and click on insert and insert a pivot table also, come back to a working sheet and click on Control A, and we go ahead, and instead of using the age bracket, we actually use the age, and we use the purchase bike and see if they actually purchased bike. And let's say we want to insert a graph. Let's say we want to insert a graph. um, let's say we use a line graph. Let's say we use a line graph and click on it. We can see that it's very scattered. We can see that it's very scattered. You can see that it's very scattered, and it might look very, very difficult to read. So having have this, our three readable dashboard, I can just go ahead and we can start creating our dashboard now. So to create the dashboard, I can just go ahead and copy this one. Just click on Ctrl C straight. I come to the dashboard and paste it here. So paste it, I can adjust it, bring it anywhere I want. Come back to the next one. Also, you can also choose to use the right click, copy, come here, say Ctrl V, paste. We have it like this. Also, come to the next one again. Also copy this and paste it here. Okay, so we can come here and paste it here. Right, so we have this like this. So we have this 3D visualization, and we can go ahead and start working in our data table. Now our dashboard is just, it depends on anything we want to do, right? We can choose to do it in any way we want. So since it's a dashboard, we can make it like a dashboard. So we want to click like an header for a dashboard. We can just create like an header for the dashboard. we select a big chunk of place we want to do. We can use merge and center to merge the whole header. We can even select the selected it. We can give it a color. Say we want it to make it blue, right? And we can choose to decide to write and say this is the bike sales dashboard. Oh, I already make a mistake. Dashboard. We can control A. We can change the color to be white, and we can choose to increase. Oh, that's too big. And we increase it to be so that we can see that this is a dashboard, right? So we can try and fit in. We can try and fit in the dashboards, and even try to we can adjust, reduce it. You can even choose to reduce it. You can choose to reduce it. You can choose to put this. Since it's long, since this is not long, we can also reduce it. See, and then this we can make this long, since it has a long cross, to make it long like this, to just, you get it, just to make it like a dashboard kind of, where you can have menus by the side and you can have other things by the side. So that's just how to set it. So you can set yours in any way. There is no predefined way of setting it, but it's just for when you want to see a dashboard, you see something that looks like this already, right? You see a menu to the right, to the left, and you see the areas where you can work with to the right, just like we have like this. So it can come in any format it wants to be. So it's just left for you to know how you want to do. Okay. So you can also do some formatting. If you don't like the way it is, you can actually select and actually do some formattings to it if you want. Okay. Okay. You can select the dashboard. You can click on it, click on control, click on each of them, and come to shape format, and you click on align and say align to left, and it just kind of like, oh sorry, and you can see, you can just click on align top so that they will all align to the top. What Okay, I selected this one, so I'm going to remove this one. I'm going to leave. So you can choose to align two things or more value. I can choose to select this and select this and align this and say, okay, align to left. Okay, no, sorry, that will be to the right, so that they have the same alignment and all of that. So there are just different ways you can work with that. And we have the dashboard, and this is it. Now there's some things we can also do. We can also add basic filters to it to see how people can actually work with it and see more in depth into the data. Okay, you have a dashboard like this, they have average income. We can choose to filter and say, okay, how are we going to filter this? How are we going to filter on what do we want to check and all of that? So if you click on a particular one, you can see the menu has changed to pivot chart analyze. So you go to pivot chart analyze and you come to slicer, right? You can see insert new slicer. Now, what's the slicer? The slicer is telling you what you can filter on, right? That, okay, what can you choose to filter on, or what can you not choose to filter on? So we can just choose different things to filter on. Just look at it. We can see how it's going to work very soon. If we click on marital status and click on OK, we can see that we have married and single. So if we drag it somewhere over here to serve as a menu, we don't need all this space, so we can actually clear all this space. If we click on married, we can see that only the married one is showing, and we can see the average. If we click on single, and we can see that the whole thing is changing just as we have it. Different values are changing. So your dashboard is getting ready, and we're working on it. So that's the first one. And we can also see, we can see now this pivot table is only, or this slide is only affecting the first one because it was selected. We can also check if we want it to affect all the pivot tables we have. We can come to report connection and see that we can see that here is only selecting this particular pivot table. If we want it to affect all other pivot tables, we'll select all and click on OK. And so as soon as we are checking between married and single, we see that the whole dashboard is changing shape entirely to fit into the different things that was selected. So that's just basically the work of a slicer to help us to understand how to use our pivot table. And if we want to cancel it and bring it back to the default, we just click on this filter cancel here. And if we want to select, we can just come and say, oh, married. So that, okay, married people will get it like this, and single people will get a different view from all of them. Okay, so we can also proceed and say, okay, we want to do more. We want to, maybe, since we didn't use region and education or so many other things in our pivot table, we can say, okay, let's come and do for that. Come to pivot chart and I'll say, okay, let's do for region, education, and let's do for region. Click on OK. You see that they come up twice, then we drag them out also and try to align them. We come here, we don't need all this space, so we close all this space up. Then we'll come here also, click this, click this education also, leave it. And now, and just like we did before the other one, we select, we click on it, we will come to slicer, we'll come to report connection, we select all, and we connect all. We also come to this one too, report connection, select all the pivot table we work with, and click on OK and report, so that we can check for, okay, who are those that are bachelor's degrees? Oh, so bachelor degrees, this is how much they are getting. Oh, graduates, okay, this is their chart. And we can, for the income, we can come to this place and add data table, right? Data table will show us the numbers, right? So if you're coming and we are clicking, we can be seeing the amount they are making on average. So we can see for bachelor's degrees, oh, bachelor's degrees holder are making higher money. Even the females are making more money. Those that bought has an higher income than those that didn't buy. And there are just so many things you can do, and we can see just basically that we can check to see, okay, in Europe, who are those that are getting more in Europe, who are those that are getting more in North America or the Pacific, and different places that you want the data table to be used and all of that. So it's just, so the filter and the slides is just using the slides to create a dashboard. And with this, at a glance, if you have a data set like this and you present it in a way like this for your boss, or as you work with as a data analyst, at a glance, you'll be able to build a dashboard for your boss to be able to just go and, okay, we just want to know how many data, okay, for those that are partial college, for those that didn't buy, this is the amount they're making on an average, this is the amount the mills are making on an average. So it's a way of just summarizing all your work. And this, we can, as a data analyst, building a dashboard is one of the first thing you would learn how to do, or you will be able to be certified to be able to do. And you can also do this, put it on your CV and put it in your portfolio, and it becomes a project you have done and a project you are successfully done. If you are successfully able to build a dashboard, then you are on your way, or you have become a data analyst. So this is going to be ending our Excel tutorial in data analysis. See you in the next tutorial course, which is SQL, and before we go into our Power BI tutorials. Thank you very much again.